So we're back with Nizi Project 2. This is the 10th episode, and we're checking out the continuation of the first team missions before the Korean portion of the competition, which is basically considered like the next part of the story. Nizi Project numbers itself funny in that it says part 1 and part 2 instead of just saying the next episode is episode 11. It's probably going to be part 2 episode 1 or something. I don't know though. Maybe they'll be nice and they'll keep the same numbering. But at the least it ends on a nice number 10. So we're back where we left off. The last time we had 3 good team performances. We had team Knock or Team Open Door, Team Jet Black, and Team Seasoning. I thought Jet Black was the best, but apparently a lot of people liked. Well, you can't go wrong with Backdoor. It's such a catchy song, but I still feel like Jet Black did the best. And then there was also Team Seasoning who did the Stray Kids God's Menu, which is also a pretty good stage in terms of just showing performance. So we get to these guys. This is Team 5. It's led by Sodai. It's called Young Plus Adult. And basically JYP ended up giving them a song that was actually very challenging with high notes and very challenging choreos. And so it's Got 7, I Won't Let You Go. I don't know if that's how you say the group name, by the way. But that's...
I'm not sure.
Okay, thanks, Alexa. I'm not sure if that's how you say the name anyway. But anyways, Sodai here, he's claiming that he's not a good dancer. And I was like very surprised to hear that because he's one of the first people we saw do really well in the first episode. And then he's been doing consistently okay ever since then. But for some reason, he's like low in confidence level. And then in practice, Kohei here is struggling with Yuhi as well on the vocals, just in the practice section. And they're not even dancing yet, so I was kind of surprised by that. I thought they'd do a lot better. When dancing, you'll notice that Yuto, he doesn't even really know how to dance yet, and it's not really surprising because he doesn't have a dance stone out of all the guys here. Now we go a little further, and Kohei seems to have really good form in practice, I noticed, and the trainee basically just gives them all advice on expressing their brightness while they're dancing. And so that's these guys in practice. Sodai, he's clearly stressed out here as leader. He's carrying 2 people here who only have 1 stone each. And so you can tell that it was not easy for him. They even had to video their performance, and when I saw them doing that, I asked myself, do they not have mirrors? Like, what's going on with this group? But even like before this performance, Sodai's like scratching his leg because you can tell that he's very, very nervous. But they get into the performance, and from what I can see, they had a actually pretty decent start. It wasn't great, but I feel like there was a point in the very beginning when they put out their hands out like that, and I felt like another guy put his hand out like that, and they weren't lined up. And I thought they should have been lined up. Unless that was intentional, that's how I felt about it. And so I could feel like some things were not looking tight with this group. But Sonai's voice, I thought it sounded good. I didn't see a problem with the voice. Yuhi also, I noticed, was keeping up with him and doing a good job. And then Yuto, he was actually doing surprisingly well. I had no issue with what he was doing. And in terms of Kohei, he's the only person that I noticed having issues. His voice was kind of okay, but it's also shaky at points. Like he was just struggling to keep it in line. He didn't break form, but he wasn't exactly like, you can tell he was shaky on his voice. And Yuto, I would say, is even better than him vocally. But overall, I didn't think they were bad. Now we get to what JYP has to say, and JYP was basically talking about how dancing and singing should be automatic so you can focus on the emotions of the song. And so he's implying that they did not reach that level with their performance. And so first thing he said was Sodai basically struggled in that area. He was not when he was struggling in vocally because when he was singing, he was still having an issue that they mentioned earlier with him approaching the note. And then later on, you have Kohei. Did I skip him? So you have Kohei here, and JYP was saying his voice was unstable, and it was so unstable that he couldn't focus on his dance. Now, Yuhi was someone who JYP was surprised by because he looked free and untethered by concerns for his performance. And he had way more expression and seemed relaxed compared to Sodai. And JYP basically said that he shined like a star. So he ended up getting a cube. And so because of that, Yuhi kind of catches up with everyone. He does a good job. I thought he did a good job. I didn't think Sodai was that bad that he deserved all that criticism. But then finally, he talks about Yuto. And the thing about Yuto is he was also doing a good job, which I mentioned before as well. JYP said that Yuto was able to dance with big movements, and because of that, he also got a cube, a dance cube, and so that actually puts Yuto at 2 cubes. So after that, we go to the next team. And it's Team 1, led by Tomoya. It's Mochi Rabbit. That's the name of the team. And JYP was saying how he gave them the most challenging song, which is the JYP X Rain Switch to Me. And so you can, if you guys ever seen the story behind that song, JYP basically wrote it and he offered it to Rain when they were going to collab together for, I guess, a new album he was doing. And Rain tried to take the song for himself, but JYP was like, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to write a better song than this. And it was a great song, by the way. And I'm surprised when he gave them the song, because that song is basically a classical duet. And I don't mean classical like classical music, but just a kind of duet that it's just like 2 people. And they're going to turn into a group song. Now, I love this song because to me it's like a mix between Bobby Brown's Every Little Step and also his other song, On Our Own. And those 2 songs are some of my favorite songs. And, On Our Own from the Ghostbusters track is just magic. I just love that song. But in practice, these guys, they're basically struggling a little bit at the start. Ken, basically, he has this issue where he likes to practice alone, and he had to overcome it. Rio, he felt like he needed more time to practice as the song was in Korean. And so he wasn't feeling like he could kind of figure out the pronunciation and as well as focus on the meaning, because he couldn't do one before the other. And so basically during practice, Tomoya helped him out a lot by giving him notes. Actually, Tomoya helped everybody. He was like calling people at night in their room to see if they're keeping up with their rap section practice. He was encouraging Ken, who was his roommate. He was saying that it was his first time as leader. And so when he said that, I was thinking, well, this guy's helping other people a lot, and I hope he had time to perfect his own moves. But that's the story of this team. I feel like a lot of the struggles weren't really I feel like they built it up a bit, because I don't think they struggled that much with it. So far, the weakest team we've seen was the last team, but it wasn't that weak. It was okay. So we get to their performance, and I know the song inside out, so I'm looking for things, and I know the choreography as well. So they start, and to me, it's pretty good. I actually feel like the song delivery is a bit softer, and in that respect, it reminds me of the Dub Chang version with Twice's Chaeyoung and Dayan, and they sing that one a little softer, and they do the choreo a little bit lighter as well. These guys did the choreo a little bit tighter. It wasn't as wide as Rain and JYP would do it. But for this, Tomoya, he had the best vocals. Vocals. And Seita and Ken also had decent vocals until later parts where I found they were a little shaky. But the only thing I would say that threw me off with this performance was I feel like every time Ken started singing, he stopped dancing. And I think he did that like more than once, like maybe twice or three times or something. And it kind of distracted me from the song. But, other than that, I feel like they did a good job. The splits they did at the end, for the ending pose, they were pretty great. If you watch Rain's behind the scenes on how they developed the choreo for the song, the splits were something that he was asked to come up with, and he did, and it was kind of hard for both he and JYP to pull off at their age, with their shaky limbs and knees and old knees and stuff. But anyways, they did a decent job. This is a good song. It's hard to not enjoy it as long as no one like sings really badly or they do the choreo completely out of sync. But I thought look, Rio is not doing that bad of a job here. And I'm kind of confused about like some of the commentary he gives him. But anyways, according to JYP, his criticism was that these guys were basically one team. And so first he goes to Ken, and he says that Ken was especially good. He conveyed his feelings well. His improvement was basically a miracle, but a miracle that JYP expected. And because of that, he got cubes. He got multiple cubes. I think it was the dance and vocal cube. And so that was good for him. And then right after him came Tomoya. And he said that Tomoya was the best out of all the contestants for the team. And he basically said his vocals, dance, and feelings were all amazing. And has had wonderful leadership. Basically, he just got a glowing review. And then after that, we have Kawashima Seita here. And then JYP was saying his dance was wonderful. And he looked like a star. And for that, he got cubes. Now, something funny kind of happens when he's picking up his cubes. It says he receives the dance cube and the vocal cube. But I could have sworn he already had the vocal cube and he was missing the star power cube. So I don't know if I don't know if they miswrote that or if my notes are wrong. But I thought I was kind of confused about that. And then next was Rio, and JYP was saying he could see Rio's talent, but he couldn't see him. He was more stable than Ken, but he drew no attention to himself. And JYP was saying that basically he just needs to believe in himself. And so I don't know what JYP is seeing in the room that we're seeing differently on camera, but I don't have that opinion of Rio. I think Rio did pretty good. But anyways, that's the performances. And then after that, JYP goes to do some ranking behind the scenes. And then he's also talking about how they're going to factor in the personality stuff. And so, at some point, the boys start sending letters to each other. They're all writing letters and sending it to each other here. And then JYP sits down and reads a lot of them. I don't know if he reads 20 letters, or how many letters each person can write, but I doubt he wrote each person's letter for each person. I think they just chose one person each, and they did a friendship letter to them. I don't know. Did they pair them up? I'm very confused about this process. But basically, this is kind of like JYP glossing over the attitude cube, and it's different than the A2K interview style, where they did interviews with a journalist. But then they also factor in the evaluation from trainers as well. But anyways, after this, they take that all into account, and then they just go into the ranking. And so you have Tomoya first, and then you have Yuki second, and then you have Inoue Haru, and then you have Ito Eiji, and then you have Hoshizawa Miraku, and then you have Komori Yuhi, and then you have Fujimaki Taiga, where is he? There. And then you have Tomiyasu Yu, and then you have Matsubara Shan, Moira Sorai, Kawashima Seta, and then you have Soken, who's the last guy, which was a surprise, but he got all his stones very suddenly. And when I looked at this, I feel like he basically chose all the visual members of the 20. I feel like that's the real criteria. But you could argue that, you know, being decent looking plays into your confidence level. And then your confidence level bleeds into your sincerity, it bleeds in your self belief and your ability to pursue talent without getting discouraged and without half assing things, being able to sing loudly, being able to do moves big. And I feel like there is something tied in there with visuals and the ability to do other things a little bit better. And so, I'm not meaning to discount that attribute or give it too much importance, but it's kind of a joke here, really. But I feel like definitely a lot of the people were kicked off. Maybe not up to snuff in the visuals department in terms of their body types. Maybe they're malnourished looking. There's something off with them. The only person in the fallen the 8 people who didn't make it, who I would say had a chance of making it, was Inagaki Taichi. And he was kind of like in between on the visual scale, in between these guys and that guys. And he also had 3 cubes, and so he couldn't get the last one. Everyone else had less than 3 cubes, like 2 cubes. And I don't know if anyone suddenly got a cube and then didn't make it. Hey, none of the Taichis made it, right? There's Tokyo Taichi and Kanagawa Taichi. None of them made it. But anyways, that is the top 12 rank, and then we get to the boys saying their goodbyes, and it's kind of it's not as sad as I've seen, but mostly they're fine. I noticed that Rio, he cried a little bit harder, and that reminds me of something. I have to check off something on my bingo card for Boy Cries. There we go. Boy Cries. Is there anything else here? I don't think so. Roguish bad guy. I was trying to see if Haru was a bad guy because he seemed very standoffish with Eiji, and I'm feeling like as people were lining up on the stage, the 12 who were going to Korea, I feel like he had the most kind of stone cold face out of everyone else who was kind of smiling at everyone joining them on the stage. And so I don't know what that's about. Does Haru only like JYP trainees and he doesn't like the outsiders? Or is he just kind of weird like that in public and he gives off the wrong energy? But the thing is, I first got the vibe from him when he was talking to Eiji. Like, I thought something was wrong there. And so I don't know what's going on there, but hopefully it gets past. I saw him getting along with other guys well in his team, so I don't feel like it's like a severe personality issue. I'm just saying it gave me the wrong vibes. Hopefully it doesn't give anyone else the wrong vibes. And I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's actually okay. He's just kind of weird in terms of getting along. I'm not even sure if getting along with people is the thing. It's just his vibe that he gives off. But that is that. So this show is basically stopping for part 1 here. And what this means is that the show is not going to continue for at least 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, on October 13th, it says that it'll continue for me at least. It may continue earlier for other people. And yeah, it's going to be 3 weeks. I think that is 3 weeks from now. So there's going to be 2 weeks where nothing happens, and then the 3rd week it'll happen again. And it'll be part 2. And it'll be in Korea. So they'll start doing individual performances again. And then team performances for the next 2 missions, if it's anything like A2K. But this is R12 right now, in order from number 1 all the way to number 12. I'm surprised that Sodai is this low, because Sodai, I mean, I just see him as a high achiever, and so I'm kind of surprised to see him down here. I feel like he had a lot to take on for this challenge, especially with 2 members who only had 1 stone each. I don't think any other team was balanced in that way. and I'm not even sure if everyone from his team, well, he made it, but everyone else, it seemed like they fell off. Kohei and Yuto, they didn't make it. But I'm pretty sure Yuhi's in here. Where are you? Oh, there he is, right in the middle. Fujimaki Taiga, he's kind of just slipping under the radar. He was crying a lot, and then he got recognized, and now he's just here. And for some reason, it hasn't registered with me yet that he's gotten good. But he is good, and so is a whole bunch of other people. So Ken, he's kind of coming out of nowhere as well. I'm always surprised when the people who come out of nowhere kind of get instant, like, fast tracked. And so that's kind of weird for me. Sean as well. Sean and So Ken are kind of like those fast tracked guys to me. And Fujimaki Taiga, I would say, is kind of in between there. But everyone else, I completely understand why they're there. I've seen them do really well on the show, and so I'm pretty happy with this. Anyways, this video is getting a bit long, so I'm gonna stop it here. Yeah, no more cube tracking, no more roster pictures like this in the next section at least. And I guess that's it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. I was kind of sloppy, I understand, in my delivery, because I have all these weird notes that are all over the place. But finally, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, and then I'll see you in the next video.